Hey, George here. So as you can tell, Rachel's not sitting next to me. So here's what happened, guys. I had the footage for the review of Hound of the Baskervilles, Series 2, Episode 2 of Sherlock. And I don't know what happened. I accidentally deleted it. There were too many fucking videos at once. I fucked up. That's what happened. So if you've been watching the other episodes, I think I mentioned at some point, like, I will review it again. It will be up there. I'm sorry. But it's not a very good episode anyway, that's the truth. It was a very small review, the one Rachel and I did. Her thoughts were she didn't really remember it, and it wasn't very good. That's pretty much it. She wanted me to mention that Mind Palace, you get to see his Mind Palace for the first time, where he's trying to figure out what that sentence, what that word means. So you get to see how that works for the first time, and that's a fun sequence. But yeah, there's something about episode 2s that are never good. Obviously, the Blind Banker in season 1 is my least favorite episode of the series, and number 2 is Hound of the Baskervilles. However, if you're going to keep watching these episodes, thank you, by the way, when you get around to Sign of 3, that's my favorite episode in the entire series so far. So, whatever. So, Hound of the Baskervilles, very famous Sherlock story. It's one of the most famous titles that, even people who don't really know the books are aware of what that title. This is a story about, it's so weird. You'd think it'd be interesting because the story takes Watson and Sherlock out of London and puts them someplace else, and you'd think like the locale change could be interesting. It just felt weird to me. Like, I missed London, I missed Mrs. Hudson, I missed Molly, and I missed Lestrade. So Sherlock is bored at the beginning, and he's like covered in blood and has a like a old-timey 18th century harpoon. That's a fun image. But he just has nothing that interests him, and then this dude shows up and he's like, there's a hideous hound and blah blah blah. So Sherlock wants to go figure out what's up, and then, it's so weird. They end up in like this military, industrial, futuristic lab with like glow-in-the-dark rabbits, and like key cards, and military guys with guns. Like, it's so not Sherlock. Clearly there's not a giant dog, big wolf killing people, so what the hell is going on? Spoilers. There's some kind of gas that can, like, essentially it's like the shit from Batman Begins. It's this pheromone that you inhale that makes you see your darkest fears, I suppose. And it's supposed to be for military weapons and stuff like that. When he was a kid, the main guy who thinks he can see a hound, he saw his father get murdered by a dude with like a patch on his arm that said Hound. So anyway, that's the fucking climax. That's the reveal. It's not that great for me. The stuff I do like in the episode is, of course, Watson and Sherlock. Early on, or maybe like halfway through, Sherlock says to Watson, like, I don't have any friends, John, and Watson's like, fuck you, and he kind of shuts off the rest of the episode. Like, he's kind of done with Sherlock's bullshit. Near the end, Sherlock is like, I really need your help, and earlier when I said I don't have any friends, I wasn't lying, John. I have one friend. And that makes my heart warm, because, the only human, except for maybe, the woman, what's her name? From the previous episode, Scandal Belgravia. Irene Adler. Aside from maybe her, the only human that's ever really mattered to Sherlock Holmes is John Watson, and it's nice to hear him acknowledge it. That's a nice sequence. I like the little callback to, like, can you imagine, I think in one of the earlier episodes, maybe the first one, Mycroft says to John, can you imagine what Sherlock with friends would be like? He'd probably try and poison them. And then literally in this episode, Sherlock tries to poison John with like a sugar cube. There's a really obnoxious sequence where John is in like a dark room on a cell phone, and there's a dog chasing him, and like, it's weird. It kind of dabbles in horror territory for a bit of an episode, and then it dabbles in like sci-fi with glow-in-the-dark lab rabbit things, and this episode's all over the place. Very much not very good. It's more fun to watch than The Blind Banker, but yeah, it's an anomaly. And in this season, which opened up with, Scandal Belgravia, which is this amazing story about Sherlock falling in love, kinda, and then ending with the Reichenbach Fall, which is, of course, a huge episode in the series, Moriarty's Time to Shine. It just feels like you don't really need it. If you like Sherlock enough to want to keep watching it, but the running time just kind of gets to you, I would say you could probably go ahead and skip Hound of the Baskervilles. You don't need it. Go back and see it at some point, but like on your first run through, if you're just trying to get to the end, you could definitely skip Hound of the Baskervilles and just go straight from Scandal Belgravia into Reichenbach Fall. You don't really need this, so. Pretty short review. If you're watching this now, like as I posted, the other episodes reviews are all up. If you're watching this now, I still haven't gotten around to watching episode 2 and 3 of the new season. And I haven't reviewed the Abominable Ride did either. So sorry about that. I promise they're coming. It's just been a weird couple of weeks. Rachel's been really busy. We haven't had a chance to connect. So sorry, they're coming, I promise. And yeah, anyway, I'll see you in the next video, which I recorded like a month ago, which is the Reichenbach Fall. So me and Rachel will be back. If you missed Rachel, she'll be back in the Reichenbach Fall talking about Moriarty's ultimate plan. See ya.